This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From custom domains to beautiful websites using their easily customizable templates that you can have up and running in minutes, e-commerce, email and email marketing, SEO, analytics, and scheduling, Squarespace does it all and has done it for us for the last 10 years. If you are a small to mid-sized business in any industry, Squarespace is the place to go for all of your website needs. Hop over to www.squarespace.com/Hugh for a free trial. And if you like what you see and want to move forward, receive 10% off your first order by using the discount code Hugh at checkout. Thanks, Squarespace. Hey everybody, I'm Hugh Brownstone for Three Blind Men and an Elephant, and I will just cut to the chase. This will not be a long video. Fujifilm's $800, $900 with kit lens, content creator focused. No IBIS, no EVF, rear panel only, APS-C 26 megapixel X-Trans 4 sensor equipped, X processor 5 equipped, rangefinder style, interchangeable lens, mirrorless, X-M5. Appears to be, for the moment, since Fujifilm did not see fit to make an evaluation unit available to us or just about anybody else in the US. Fujifilm guys, I love you, but would you please stop doing that? Well, straight up, on paper, it reads pretty much as a Panasonic Lumix S9 killer. Ironically, in the same way Panasonic's original Lumix G9 was a Fujifilm X-H1 killer, more thoroughly considered and executed across the board for less money. The difference between then and now, again, on paper for the moment, is that the XM5 doesn't simply beat the S9 on price. It crushes it, and then compacts it further on size, weight, and interfaces. We're talking literally half the price for the XM5 with the XF15 to 45, 3.5 to 5.6 kit lens, compared to the S9 with the just made available 18 to 40 millimeter f4.5 to 6.3, while at the same time being just about 35% smaller and 12% lighter, yet still sporting a dedicated 3.5 millimeter microphone jack, a dedicated 3.5 millimeter headphone jack, and a hot shoe that the S9 does not. Now, I don't mean to be harsh or unfair to either company. The XM5's specifications are a dramatic update of their first generation XM1 with well-established APS-C componentry. In fact, the XM5 is essentially a rangefinder style version of the XS20, a great camera. I love to check out my video. Sans IBIS and EVF both use the 4th generation sensor and 5th generation processor, while the S9 is the very first generation of Panasonic's full-frame content creators tool using Panasonic's very latest and quite excellent sensor and processor. The point is that iteration, experience, customer and industry feedback, time, all matter. Fujifilm does hold a distinct advantage here. Except for autofocus, hold that thought too. Still, we don't know if Fujifilm has caught up to or surpassed Panasonic when it comes to autofocus performance, because the S5 II's autofocus is very good. It's our daily driver here, good enough to unseat our Sony A7 IV, and good enough to be our standard for all of our 3-camera shoots. Although, in either case, any improvement in the XM5's autofocus would have to be a function of algorithms or firmware rather than the hardware itself. We don't know how bright or legible the rear panel of the XM5 is compared directly to the S9 either, nor do I know how much this matters. We don't know how it will feel in hand. We don't know if the lens-only image stabilization plus digital image stabilization in the XM5 are sufficient compensation for the in-body image stabilization the XM5 does not have that the S9 and the XS20 for that matter do. I personally can't compare kit lens performance because in spite of evaluating hundreds of lenses over the years, The XF15-45 is one lens I've not had in hand. I can only note at this juncture that the 15-45 has a wider focal range biased toward the longer end with marginally better light gathering capacity than the 18-40. Only you can decide which fields of view make more sense for you. Let's move on to the other two products Fujifilm announced this morning as well. First, a quick take on a lens many of us have waited to see for a very long time, the second generation of Fujifilm's legendary red badge XF 16-55mm f2.8. This new one is about 21% smaller, 37% lighter, and should have even better image quality than the original. Yet, the price remains unchanged from the original at $1,200, the original still being on sale as I record this. This is the full-frame equivalent of a 24-85 f4, and the original was my favorite lens in the XF lineup for years. I couldn't bring myself to sell it quite some time after I sold my last Fujifilm body. Once again, I haven't had it in hand, but I can't wait to see what it does matched to a 40-megapixel X-Trans sensor and how it compares to, say, Sigma's second generation 24-70 2.8 on my full-frame 61-megapixel SL3, because if it's even close, wow. Then again, the more relevant comparison for most of us will be against Sigma's excellent, call it 30% lighter, 50% smaller, and at just $530, 56% less expensive than this second-gen 16-55, their 18-50mm f2.8 DCDN, which is the lens that convinced me to finally sell my first-gen 16-55 2.8. Finally, last but not least, Fujifilm has announced a halo product in the form of their $3,000 1-point, call it 4-kilo, XF500 f5.6 Super Telephoto Prime. Call it a full-frame equivalent field of view and shallowest depth of field is, say, a 750mm 8.4, and I think it's a steal. But you may disagree. You may be asking yourself right about now, are you serious? How could a lens this slow possibly be considered a halo offering? You might be asking yourself, how can that make any kind of sense at all when Canon, for example, can sell its full-frame RF 800mm f11 for just $1,000? Or Sigma can sell its full-frame 500 f5.6 for $2,800. Well, these are good questions, so here's how. 1. Internally, this new XF lens is essentially the same lens as their incredible $3,500 medium format GF 500 f5.6, fractionally longer than the GF because of the difference in flange distance. There is simply no comparison in terms of image quality, build quality, and speed between this lens and the fixed aperture consumer-grade Canon RF 800 f11. 2. The XF500 5.6 is less than half the weight and 1/5 the price of the far more appropriate lens with which it should be compared, Canon's top-of-the-line 17 large full-frame 800mm f5.6 LIS-USM. 4. The XF500 5.6 also happens to be less than half the weight and just under 1/4 the price of Sony's incredible benchmark 13,600mm f4, again full-frame lens. 5. While the XF500 5.6 is the same focal length and aperture as Sigma's marginally more expensive, also benchmark for value and IQ full-frame 500 5.6, the XF is configured for the 1.5 crop sensor APS-C frame of the XF series. It thus has significantly greater reach than the Sigma and that Sony 600mm. Finally, 6. That approximate f8.4 maximum aperture equivalent I mentioned a moment ago is only for purposes of assessing shallowest depth of field, not for exposure. The XF500 f5.6 is just as fast for a given ISO wide open. That is, the shutter speed would be the same as what one would set wide open on the $17,000 Canon, only one stop slower, that is half the shutter speed, at which one would set the $13,000 Sony. I'm talking, 1/2000th of a second instead of 1/4000th of a second. Frankly, I can't wait to compare the XF500 on a 40-megapixel XH2 or XT5 to the Sigma on my 61-megapixel SL3. Although again, the far more relevant competitor would be Fujifilm's own 1/3 less expensive, marginally heavier, but far more versatile XF150 to 600mm f5.6 to f8 zoom. That's kind of it for now. The promise of the XM5, second generation XF 16-55 f2.8, and the new to XF mount 500 5.6, versus the reality that one cannot know with certainty until one has had them in hand, and I look forward to that time. 2 additional points as we close things out for now. 1. Credit where credit is due. Fujifilm's packaging of the XM5 is the most sustainable I've ever seen from the company. And to that, we can only say, together now, in chorus, kudos to you guys. 2. For those of you who want to know, the XF 500 5.6 is made in Japan. The second generation XF 16-55 2.8 is made in Thailand. And the XM5 is made in China, which will not matter at all to some of us, but may matter greatly to others. Yeah. This video is brought to you by Squarespace. From custom domains to beautiful websites using their easily customizable templates that you can have up and running in minutes, e-commerce, email and email marketing, SEO, analytics, and scheduling, Squarespace does it all and has done it for us for the last 10 years. If you are a small to mid-sized business in any industry, Squarespace is the place to go for all of your website needs. Hop over to www.squarespace.com/Hugh for a free trial. And if you like what you see and want to move forward, receive 10% off your first order by using the discount code Hugh at checkout. Thanks, Squarespace. If you like what you've seen here today, please give a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, join the conversation in the comments section below because this is an exceptional audience. If you'd like help with a portfolio review, gear selection, finding or honing your artistic voice, sign up for a one-on-one mentoring video call via Zoom at 3bmep.com/booking. Finally, please consider supporting our work by using the no-cost Hugh affiliate links down below, sending us coffee money via PayPal, or most especially, joining us on Patreon, links down below as well. However you choose to support us, as always, we thank you for it.